I'm going to show you how to make perfect Dresden points. It doesn't matter what size wedge your pattern is telling you to cut. I have relatively short ones here for the pattern I'm doing, but there is a trick to making perfect points because you do not want flat tips on the points in your Dresden plate. So I'm going to fold my wedge, and the wide side of the wedge is what is going to end up being the point, and the narrow end of the wedge is going to be toward the center of your circle, half circle, quarter circle, whatever your project is going to be. Okay, so it is folded right sides together, and I'm going to feed the cut end of the wedge into the machine. Wait, let me get this turned over. Okay, I'm going to decrease the size of my stitch. My default on my machine is 2.5. I'm going to reduce it to 1.5. Feed the cut side of the wedge, I'm going to put my needle down, cut side of the wedge in toward the needle, and then you're sewing off the folded edge. And this is just a way that I mark my 1/4 inch. I don't have a 1/4 inch foot, so I just put a card down there. It gives me an edge to put my fabric against. It works great for me. There are things you can buy, of course, to mark your 1/4 inch, but this is free, so that's what I do. I do several stitches between because I'm going to cut these apart and I don't want the stitches to come out. Again, fold right sides together, feed it cut edge in, and I have been preparing a quilt and have done over 500 wedges, and so these are just extras that I don't need them for my project, but I want to demonstrate to you. I'm doing a group of 10. Again, cut side of the wedge toward the needle. Okay, I'm going to finish doing the rest of these wedges in this batch of 10, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I have chain pieced my 10 pieces together. You can do whatever you wanted. I kept my pieces in groups of 10 because I was counting for a large project, and it just made it easy if I did 10, stack them by 10s. So now I'm going to cut these apart, and this is how I do it. I cut close to the cut edge and leave a tail of thread by the fold, because if a thread comes undone or a stitch comes undone on the cut edge, it's of little consequence because that ends up being inside the wedge. It's the center seam. But if a stitch comes undone on your point's going to pop open, and you don't want that. So I'm going to lay these down, give a cut by the cut edge. Okay, I'm going off camera here a little bit. Okay, next step. Now you're going to turn these right side out, and next step is to trim. You're going to trim. We're going to go to the folded edge. I measure halfway between half of my seam allowance, and I cut just a wedge. I don't want to be too close to those stitches. You do not want those to come out. Just cut a wedge. That's it. And it's on your folded edge. I do about half the width of my seam and just snip off a wedge. Okay, I'm going to pause and I'll finish these. You don't need to watch this. Okay, I've trimmed all of my pieces now, and now we're going to turn these right side out. I put my thumb on the inside, take my pointer finger and press the seam allowance to one side and flip it. And don't fuss about the point at this time. We'll take care of that in the next step. So now we're just flipping all these pieces so that the right side is out. Again, I put it on my thumb, use my pointer finger to press the seam allowance to one side and turn it. Press to one side and turn. 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 Okay, this is my most important tool. It is a wooden chopstick. You can get these at any place, Walmart, or get them from Chinese takeout or something. The important thing is that it's wood, because it has just a little bit of texture here, and that's going to allow you to persuade those threads to go the direction you want. I think if you use a plastic one, it would be too smooth. I don't think it would work. I never use scissors for this step. Some people do, and they're successful, and good for them, but I do not do that. So I'm going to use my wooden chopstick to help with my turning. First thing, I'm going to line up my piece, and with my thumb and forefinger on my non-dominant hand, I'm going to squeeze that. I want to press, make a slight crease that marks the center of the wedge. You do not use an iron. You do not want a permanent crease. You just want it long enough for you to line it up when you turn. Now, I'm going to use the chopstick to help me, and I'm not going to poke like this. I'm going to put it in and pull up, up, not poke, poke, poke. Now I'm going to squeeze the seam allowance. I have already pushed it to one side. I'm going to squeeze the seam allowance, open the wedge up, and I can see my little crease. Do you see the crease? And I'm going to line that up exactly and see what the tip looks like. Now that's a good tip. I don't have to persuade this one. If I did, I would be using my chopstick not to poke, 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 but to twist. I would put it in and give a twist just to convince those threads to lay the way I want them to. But that one turned out pretty well. I then just give it a little spritz with water and a quick little press with my iron. If you have a steam iron, that's great. I don't do steam in my irons because I've discovered anytime I have an iron that I have used, put water in, it becomes incontinent, so I don't do that anymore. Okay, again, line it up, squeeze to make a temporary crease, and again, chopstick is going to pull up, whoops, got on the correct side of the seam allowance, up, up. Put my thumb in and forefinger to hold that seam to one side. I can see my crease. I'm going to line it up exactly. Okay, and again, that turned out to be a pretty good point. It does not always happen. Okay, let me do another one. Line it up, mark my center. I'm going to pull up. This time I'm not going to put it quite all the way in. Maybe I can make a tip that I can demonstrate to you. Okay, and this one doesn't want to quite work right. I'm going to pinch the seam allowance, go to my center line, and I don't like that one particularly. It's a little flat, so I'm going to use my chopstick to twist. Twist, again, I'm not poking. I'm twisting just to convince that the threads that I want them to go the way I want them to go. Just a little persuasion. There we go. I'll do one more. Line it up. Temporary crease on your center. Chopstick to pull up. Squeeze the seam allowance so it doesn't flip. Open it up. There's my crease. Line it up. And I am going to persuade this one. Twist, twist, twist. Makes a much nicer point. Little spritz. And that's how you do a perfect point on a Dresden plate, for Dresden plates or half circles or quarter circles, whatever you're doing for your project. I hope you found that helpful. Please subscribe to my channel. I am Recovering Monogamous Stitcher on both YouTube and Instagram. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.